This is VSiN PrimeTime. Live from the Circus Sportsbook in downtown Las Vegas on VSiN, the sports betting network.
It is VSiN PrimeTime as we keep on rolling along alongside Matt Youmans. I am Tim Murray. Madison Square Garden right now, 8:12 to go in the third quarter, and the Detroit Pistons continuing to hold that lead against the New York Knicks. They lead 60-53. Pistons a 1.5 point favorite in game, minus 125 on the money line, Matt. That total has dropped quite a bit from the open of 220, 221. Right now, live number 200.5. So dead under game so far out at the Garden, and we'll see if the Knicks can do what they did on Saturday and come back to beat the Pistons. But right now, trailing by 9, a 1.5 point dog in game against the Detroit Pistons, as the Pistons showing some fight, a lot more fight than we saw from Memphis or Milwaukee over the weekend.
How about the Knicks being held to 53 points here? 5 minutes into the third quarter, Knicks are 6 for 20 from three. The player prop on Jalen Brunson scoring tonight was 27.5. He's got 17. Let's see, midway through the third, I would expect Brunson's probably going to go off here late in the game. If the Knicks are going to make a run, you would assume they're going to make a run. Really, when you look at the box score, the Pistons are doing nothing exceptional, and the Knicks are just not generating much offense tonight. So 18 points in the first quarter for the Knicks and only 4 in the first 5 minutes of the third quarter.
All right, let's bounce around a little bit as we will talk a little bit more NFL draft. We're hoping to catch up with Tony Pauline at some point here, either this segment or later on in this hour. But after 2 periods, Matt, this is music to your ears. The Washington Capitals lead the Montreal Canadiens 2-0. They are minus 2,800 in game at DraftKings, and you have them closing out a money line parlay that the Golden Knights were able to get you that first leg home last night. So a good start. Nothing's complete yet. Could always take a little Canadians money line on the opposite side or a little puck line plus 2.5 if you want to get a little creative. But good start to be in.
Tim, I bet more hockey in the last 2 days than I have NBA. I do have, like you said, last night played the Knights minus 190. Played the Knights to win the series as well. And also parlayed the Knights with the Capitals tonight, minus 190, minus 185 on the two. Home favorites and Caps up 2-0 with 1 period to go. Hopefully they can close this out. Do have an NBA bet tonight, and that's on the Clippers minus 1. But again, also plan to live bet that. And I think the Clips, who outplayed the Nuggets for a majority of the game in the series opener, probably bounce back tonight and tie this series. I thought James Harden was surprisingly good in game 1 of the series. But if you're expecting a fade from Harden in this series, don't forget that James Harden's playoff fades typically come in game 5, game 6, or game 7, not in the first few games of the series. So I think you can count on Harden to play well. 32 points, 11 assists in the series opener for Harden. Kawhi Leonard had 7 turnovers. Obviously, got to clean that up, but I thought the Clips kind of let go. They let one get away, let's put it that way. Let one get away in game 1. I think they got to get it back tonight and tie the series again. I expect this series to go 7 games.
Matt, you mentioned you've bet more hockey. How could you forget the last time I was here before hitting the road, that easy Flames winner? That was never in doubt against the Vegas Golden Knights.
That game about gave you a heart attack.
Oh, my God. And, I didn't think I was going to make it on vacation. I thought I was going to keel over.
That was not a lot of fun, I can tell you that. But we did get there.
We got there, baby.
I think we got the winner in the shootout,
We did. 5-4 winner. They won it in the shootout 6 days ago. And hopefully, on the flip side, the Golden Knights, who started off your moneyline parlay, get it home. Let's head to our progressive guest line and welcome in a friend of the show. We had him on a week ago. It is Tony Pauline, who joins us courtesy of our progressive guest line. And Tony, one of the best out there covering the NFL draft. Tony, a lot to get to with you, and appreciate your time on this busy week. Let's start with this regarding the quarterbacks. We've certainly talked a lot about it. Maybe now a little buzz that could we see only one, maybe two? Where are you right now on the number of quarterbacks we see in the first round come Thursday night?
I still have 2 in the first round. I think you can make the argument that only one, Cam Ward, deserves to go in the first round. But, as we see, quarterbacks are always drafted. If the Steelers don't take a quarterback at 21, I could see one of those teams early in round 2 popping back into the late part of round 1 to grab a quarterback, most likely Shedeur Sanders.
All right, Tony, how about Ashton Genty? This is, we've talked about this as kind of moving day. A lot of reporters out there dumping rumors all over the place. We're seeing markets move a little bit. What do you think is going to happen? Your best guess here. What can happen with Boise State running back Ashton Genty?
Yeah, I don't know what the reporters are reporting, but I can tell you this. He is definitely in play for Jacksonville or with the Jacksonville Jaguars with that 5th selection. Mm-hmm. I don't agree with it, but they look at him. They say at number 4 or at number 5, he's the most talented. He's got the best traits. Basically, he's the best player available. And I was told literally a couple hours ago when I was researching the story for my own story, it's going to come out on Sportskeeda on Wednesday, they feel that Ashton Genty is the missing piece for that offense.
Tony Pauline giving us the latest, and you could check it out, sportskeeda.com. And you had a really interesting nugget today that I thought is worth bringing to these airwaves, because if Genty goes 5, that opens up the Raiders at 6, Tony. And what do? Do they go offensive line? Do they go defensive line? There's a need at corner, but 6 seems a little too rich. What did you report today regarding Armand Membo as a possibility there at 6 for the Raiders?
Well, they like Membo. Actually, it's the second time I mentioned Membo with the Raiders. They need an upgrade at the offensive line. You got John Spytek there, the former assistant general manager with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, had great success with a guy by the name of Tristan Wirfs. You look at that Buccaneer offensive line, it's primarily first and second round choices. So if Genty's not there, even if Genty's there, I think Armand Membo is in the conversation there. It's just a matter of Armand Membo is a bit more of a risk than, say, an Ashton Genty or even a Mason Graham, who they may consider there. But his upside is tremendous. So you're getting a guy, you're going to play him at right tackle, who could be an all-pro type 2 or 3 years down the road. But he's not the safest pick as compared to some of the other guys like Genty, if he's available, or Mason Graham.
Tony Pauline with us. Yeah, I've heard that the Raiders like Mason Graham and Jalen Walker, the linebacker edge rusher from Georgia. So you can't rule out those two at the number 6 pick. What would you expect happens with the wide receivers? Ted McMillan, Matthew Golden, what's your projection here for those two?
I think right now Matthew Golden's the first receiver off the board at number 12 to the Dallas Cowboys. I can see Ted McMillan falling to number 20.
All right, we're going to reconnect here with Tony. Just a small disconnection there, but interesting to know. I mean, look, we love talking to Tony. We had him on a week ago, and pretty confident there that he thinks that it will be Golden, and we've seen the movement in the market.
Right.
Yeah,
I've got Golden to the Cowboys at number 12. I think he's going to be the first wide receiver off. Somebody asked me, which bet do you like the most? Which are you most confident in? I said, I think it's Matthew Golden being the first wide receiver drafted at plus 200.
Yeah, there's still plus money to be had out there on Matthew Golden to be that first wide receiver selected. And, I think another, bet that I made last week, Matt, which we've seen the market move a little bit, is Dallas Cowboys' first pick to be a wide receiver. That market has moved to odds on, whether it be Ted McMillan or Matthew Golden. It feels like that is a decent spot there ultimately to grab the Dallas Cowboys at number 12 or whenever they ultimately make that decision to make the first pick of the draft here. So we're going to get to hopefully reconnect here with Tony at some point. Just a little bit of a disconnect there. While we wait here, just a quick moment. We've got an update from Washington, 2-0. Capitals lead the Montreal Canadiens. That one early on in the third period. And in the NBA right now, maybe a little bit of an upset brewing as the Pistons out to a 3.5-point favorite right now. They lead 64-53, 6.5 minutes to go in the third quarter. Live total down to 200.5 on that one right now at the Pistons and the Knicks.
Let's try to bring Tony back at 6:15 after the break here, because we have a lot to talk about with the draft with Tony.
We do.
Pistons up 11, like you said, and have flipped to 3.5-point favorites for the game. Total down to 200.5. This has been an ugly offensive game. Tim, this is about the time the Knicks went on that big run to blow it open against the Pistons in Game 1. 21-0 run in the series opener.
So I want to play the game.
13-point lead now, 66-53 for Detroit.
I want to play the game with you real quickly before we hit a break. If Ashton Genty goes 5, let's say it's the Jaguars or someone trades up.
Yeah.
So right now we're looking at a board that in theory looks like Cam Ward 1, Hunter 2, Carter 3, Will Campbell 4 to the Patriots, which
There's some talk the Patriots might like Ashton Genty.
Yeah, so we can get into that, but for argument's sake, Campbell goes 4. What do you think the Raiders do? Do they go Mason Graham? Do they go Jalen Walker? Do they go, as Tony mentioned, Membo's got high upside, but it is a bit risky there with the 6th overall pick. What do you think the Raiders would do with the 6th overall pick?
I like the defensive player. I think they got to build the defense. And I understand the offensive line. Armand Membo would be a solid decision. If the Raiders go with Membo on the offensive line, I'm not going to argue with that. I think it's going to be defense. If it's not Ashton Genty, I think the Raiders go with Mason Graham to build that defensive line, or they go with Jalen Walker, the edge rusher linebacker. I like Walker. I think that's who I would go with. And from what I've heard, all the pre-draft interviews, everyone's come away really impressed with Jalen Walker. I was impressed when I watched him on the field. When you watch the tape, that would be the guy I would pick for the Raiders at number 6.
Yeah, I don't think you can go wrong with Jalen Walker or Mason Graham. Peter Schrager tweeted this out a day ago. He said, 2 guys who have won the interview process and are universally beloved as people, in addition to their playing ability, Jalen Walker and Emeka Egbuka. Hey, just a reminder, folks, we've got a partner over at sharpplays.com. Make sure you check them out. Their website there, they've got great transparency with all of their action. Since 2011, it's been locked in what the real pros are betting, elite groups, sharp money, the kind that actually moves the market. That's sharpplays.com. More, hopefully, with Tony Pauline next.
This is VSiN PrimeTime on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
We keep it rolling here on a busy Monday evening. We've got 4 games in total on the ice in the Stanley Cup playoffs, and maybe an upset brewing in New York City as Detroit leads the Knicks 66-53 with 5.5 minutes to go in the third quarter. That's Matt Youmans. I'm Tim Murray, and kind enough to hang out with us for another segment as we've figured out our connection issues. Tony Pauline, a man who's been covering the draft for as long as maybe I've been on this earth, Matt Youmans. I'm not sure about that, but he knows the insides and outs of this draft. And, you know, before we had a little bit of a connection issue, we were talking wide receivers, and I mentioned there was a tweet from Peter Schrager regarding Jalen Walker and Emeka Egbuka just excelling at the interview process. Tony, what's the latest you've heard on the Ohio State wide receiver Emeka Egbuka and the possibility of him going in the first round Thursday night?
I think it would be a surprise if he doesn't go in the first round. Right now, I'm hearing the Green Bay Packers at 23. Packers will look to trade down. If they can't, they look towards Egbuka. I'm hearing the latest he'll probably go is Houston Texans at number 25. So I don't want to say it's a lock that Emeka Egbuka is a first-round pick, but it looks very, very certain at this point.
How about this as a bet? And Tim and I talked about this earlier in the show. The Packers have not taken a wide receiver in the first round since 2002. You can get 6-1 odds, anywhere from plus 450 to 6-1 on the Packers to take a wide receiver with their first pick. Do you like that play?
Yeah, I do, especially if they stay in the first round. Like I said, they could look to trade out. It's kind of funny, all those years when they had those good receivers staring them in the face and they bypassed them while Aaron Rodgers was the quarterback. Now he's gone and they take a receiver from the Big Ten in the first round. That would be ironic.
Well, and Tony, I mentioned it a couple of times. Not to say that they would play to the crowd, but boy, I can only imagine what that place would do on Thursday night if they get out. If Roger Goodell steps out there and says, as wide receiver, Ohio State, Emeka. Place would go absolute bonkers there in Green Bay, as I'm sure every citizen of Green Bay will be in attendance there on Thursday night. Tony, the draft will start with Cam Ward being number 1. You mentioned it that you believe it'll be 2 quarterbacks going in the first round. Let's circle back to it. Matt and I talked about this last week with the possibility of, if he's available at 21, that Shedeur Sanders could be a Pittsburgh Steelers. What's the latest you've heard on that possibility there?
That's been my pick for the Steelers my past 2 mock drafts. And what I'm hearing is Mike Tomlin favors the team taking Shedeur Sanders. I don't know that the rest of the hierarchy and the decision makers do, but Mike Tomlin would like to take Shedeur Sanders. He likes his upside. He's comfortable going into the season with Mason Rudolph as his starting quarterback, so you're not going to have to play Shedeur Sanders in week 1. There's also the Deion factor, something I've been reporting about since the Shrine Bowl. You know, there are teams that are shying away from Shedeur Sanders because they're concerned that Deion Sanders, his dad, is going to be very critical when he sees things that he doesn't like or things that are not going well, you know, for his son, which a lot of parents would do. But not all parents have the bully pulpit of being the head coach of the Colorado Buffaloes like Deion. And there's a sense in the league that Deion Sanders may give Mike Tomlin a pass. He won't go as hard against Mike Tomlin as he would other coaches in the league if the Steelers took Shedeur Sanders and if there were some tough times. I reported that on Monday at Sportskeeda.
So if Sanders goes to the Steelers and he has a strong rookie year, do you think Deion would lobby for Pittsburgh to retire his number? No.
Not out of the realm of possibility.
Tony, how about the tight ends? Where do you think Tyler Warren goes? And how about Colston Loveland, the tight end from Michigan?
Yeah, I keep hearing Tyler Warren's going to be a top 10 pick, possibly 7 to the Jets, possibly 9 to the New Orleans Saints.
Okay.
A lot of people think he doesn't get past 10 with the Chicago Bears. Along with Ashton Genty, of the top prospects, he's viewed as the safest. He's the cleanest. He's the guy that's got the least bust factor. And when you're drafting at the top with all those new regimes and general managers, you know, they don't want to miss, and they can't afford to miss on that pick. Colston Loveland, you know, he could go to the Chargers, who need a tight end at number 22, be reunited with his old college coach, Jim Harbaugh. They need a tight end. He's a terrific pass catcher. Colston Loveland is more Brock Bowers than, say, Tyler Warren is. Neither of them are Brock Bowers. But if you're looking for a Brock Bowers type of tight end, guy that can get down the field and make big plays from the line of scrimmage, and a natural pass catcher at the position, it's Colston Loveland of Michigan.
Tony, Pauline joining us here, courtesy of our Progressive guest line. So Travis Hunter will be the number 2 overall pick. He's going to be, I believe, announced as both a corner and a wide receiver. But when you look at who will be the second corner selected, Tony, what have you heard about Will Johnson? There was some, reporting today that he could be dropping due to his injury concerns. And then there was a lot of love out there for Barron coming out of Texas. So who do you think ultimately is that second cornerback selected?
Yeah, and teams are going to will have to be comfortable with Johnson's film from last year, because when he was on the field, he really didn't play all that well. You talk about Barron. Is he a nickel? Is he an outside corner? There are some people who believe Shannon Revell of East Carolina could be the second corner. I'm going to be stubborn, and I'm going to stay with the cornerback that I thought was going to be the number 1 or pure cornerback in the draft, and I'm going to say Will Johnson as of right now. But that could change. Like I said, some people like Barron of Texas as the number 2 cornerback. Some people like Revell of East Carolina, who had the injury and missed most of the season after tearing a knee ligament in practice.
Tony, I've got 3 teams I want to throw at you and see what you think these teams might do. First, I'm going to start with the Patriots at number 4. Will the Patriots possibly make a surprise pick there, or do they go with the most widely mocked player?
I've been reporting the past couple of days, and there'll be one out tomorrow. There is talk in the league the Patriots are going to pull a surprise and take Jalen Walker, the pass rusher linebacker, with the 4th selection of the draft. And it makes sense. I mean, who's the head coach? Mike Vrabel. He's a defensive-minded head coach. He feels you win with defense. After Abdul Carter and even Travis Hunter are off the board, Jalen Walker of Georgia is the next best defensive player on the board. I'm told the Patriots were there at his workout last Thursday at Georgia, and they absolutely loved him, took him out to lunch. He's a versatile guy, only 6'1", so he doesn't have the great upside, the great growth potential, but he is an explosive guy who can rush the passer, play in space. He can drop into coverage. A lot of upside. From what I'm hearing now, it looks like the Patriots could pull a surprise and take Jalen Walker with the 4th selection.
You know what? I'm a big Jalen Walker fan. I would like that pick by the Patriots at 4 instead of Will Campbell, the offensive lineman from LSU. So it'd be interesting to see if you're right about that. How about the 49ers, who's sitting right there at number 11?
I think what the 49ers would like to do is they have 11 selections. They'd like to package those selections, move ahead of the Carolina Panthers, and take Michael Williams, the pass rusher from Georgia.
Tony Pauline ran into a little bit of technical snafu, but really good information regardless. So we appreciate Tony. Follow him on Twitter at Tony Pauline. Tony, if you're still there, we apologize for the technical difficulties, but I just want to go back to what he just said.
Yeah.
Which is he's going to report it tomorrow on Sportskeeda.com. He thinks there's a possibility that the New England Patriots could pull a surprise at 4.
I like it. I like that idea.
And boy, and I'll say this, Matt, because as we like to bet the draft, you've already put up your mock draft. I'm working on it now. If Jalen Walker goes 4 to New England, what does that do for the rest of the first round? Does that change what Jacksonville does? Does that change what Las Vegas does? What does that one wrinkle potentially do? But right now,
it has a ripple effect, right? And that's what, when you're doing a mock draft, where does this draft start? I think this first surprise pick be at number 4 with the Patriots. If it's Jalen Walker, I would endorse that. I like that pick a lot for the Patriots if they make it.
Yeah, Jalen Walker, 12-1 to be selected as a. Whoa! I just shot off my top of my cap there.
Where can you get to 12-1?
12-1 right now at DraftKings. I'm gonna look around, see what else is possible. But I'll say, it's just felt for a draft that has been believed
a little
to be
too convenient to lock, just right in.
The first 6 picks were for up until today. It was, one's going to be Cam Ward. Okay, I feel confident in that. Travis Hunter, 2. Feel confident in that. Abdul Carter, 3. Pretty good there. Maybe a surprise, and then at 4 was Will Campbell's going 4 to New England. Okay, I mean I know they need a tackle, but
almost every team needs a tackle.
Sure,
Patriots need some difference makers too. Whether it's running back Ashton Genty, whether it's linebacker, edge rusher Jalen Walker. I'm not going to be surprised if the Patriots pull a so-called surprise. I think number 4, I slotted Will Campbell in there thinking, okay, I'm just not really sure what the Patriots are going to do. Every beat writer I've read mentions Will Campbell, right? So it's kind of like you said, groupthink at that point. I'm not going to change my mock draft tonight, Tim, because I really don't have anything in cement that I want to change.
By the way, Tony Pauline, Johnny Avello, both believing that it will be less than 2.5 quarterbacks. The market has moved now from plus 260 under 2.5 to minus 105.
That's a really?
Yeah, today. So a lot of movement there. Hey, folks, just a reminder, if you're getting out to Vegas this summer, no better place to save. Circa, the D, or Golden Gate right here on Fremont Street. Use the promo code VSiN15. Get yourself 15% off your stay. Circa, the D, or Golden Gate. CircaLasVegas.com. That promo code VSiN15.
This is VSiN PrimeTime on VSiN, the sports betting network.
It is VSiN PrimeTime here on a Monday night. Matt Youmans is not happy. The Canadiens are on the board.
Well, they had a power play opportunity, and they cashed in. So 2-1 Washington, and we've got a game again in D.C., Tim.
Yes, we do. 2-1 is the score right now. 2-1 is also the score north of the border. Winnipeg leading the St. Louis Blues. That one early on in the third period. So 2 games going on right now on the ice. Still to come this evening, we have 2 more games on the ice. The Colorado Avalanche, a minus 130 favorite against the Dallas Stars. We'll see if the Stars can even up that series. And then the first game of the Oilers and Kings series. Matt, you said you've heard a number of folks out there like this, like the
both sides. I've heard strong opinions both sides here on the Oilers.
True pick 'em.
and the Kings. And I think, this is the fourth year in a row we've seen these teams get together in the playoffs. And Oilers have gotten the better of the Kings the last couple of years, and I think that's why it's tough for some handicappers to get on the Kings side this time. But from what you've seen, I mean, the Kings look like the better team, the stronger team going into this. We had a guest on the Friday show, Dennis Bernstein, and Dennis made a very strong case for the Kings in this series, and I tend to agree with him. Even though I didn't play it, that's the side I'm leaning here, LA against Edmonton. And right now, just trying to get the Caps to close out this game against Montreal. 8:24 to go. Washington up 2-1. And, man, this has been a good hockey game tonight. Physical, well
really
played.
has.
And it's going to go down to the wire here. Also, like you said, tied in Winnipeg 1-1. I've been most impressed with the Detroit Pistons tonight. They continue to hold off the Knicks. 75-67 going to the fourth quarter. And, Tim, we're looking at Pistons minus 3.5 with 11.5 minutes to go, 8-point lead.
And then later tonight, we've got the Clippers taking on the Denver Nuggets in the old return spot. So we'll give you more thoughts on that here in just a moment. I do want to, once again, just kind of circle back to a couple things that Tony Pauline had to say. And I think the one that jumped out to me, he had a lot of really good stuff. To kind of cliff notes it, Tony Pauline, longtime draft analyst, very well-connected, sportskeeda.com is where he works at, Matt. He still believes Matthew Golden will be the first wide receiver selected. He believes it'll be 2 quarterbacks in the first round. He is of the belief that if Shedeur Sanders, which he believes he will be, is available at 21, this would be lovely for us, as we both took a long shot on Shedeur going to the Pittsburgh Steelers. He thinks that the Steelers would take a crack at Shedeur Sanders at 21. Mm-hmm. And the reporting that he said is that there's a belief out there that Deion Sanders would maybe give Mike Tomlin a little bit longer.
Yeah, I don't care about that. Seriously, Deion just needs to stay away and let the NFL coaches handle their business. He does not need to be meddling in the press with in the media with what his son's doing as rookie quarterback in Pittsburgh. I don't think Mike Tomlin would tune that stuff out anyway. I think we're starting to get to the point where Deion is becoming one of the most annoying characters in sports.
And I do wonder too, is it being a little bit overblown too at this point? That's what I don't know. Here's another. This is a report from Adam Schefter earlier today. Sources said that the Steelers had not been planning to draft a quarterback in round 1, but they were not expecting Sanders to fall out of the top 10. Now, all options seem to be on the table, and they are preparing in case they have the option to draft Sanders, which it certainly looks like at this point in time, that is going to be the likelihood that Shedeur Sanders will indeed be available there at pick number 21.
Give you a couple tweets here. This is from Wesley Steinberg, and I think this is a legitimate account. He's only got 18,000 followers. He's out of New York, NFL and New York Giants insider. He tweeted, Giants have entertained the idea of taking running back Ashton Genty at 3, then trading back into the first round for quarterback Jalen Milroe to have an electric backfield. Tim, in the last week or so, there's been a lot of hype around Jalen Milroe, the Alabama quarterback, because of his running ability. Mm-hmm. I don't know if that's the guy the Giants are targeting. I really think the Cleveland Browns are looking at Milroe as an early second-round pick. And the reason I say that, and you can draw the connection too, Tommy Rees, former offensive coordinator at Alabama, coached Jalen Milroe 2 years ago, 2023. And I think Rees, if there's a coach in the NFL who can kind of develop Milroe and play to his strengths, I think Tommy Rees is probably the guy. And that's why I think the Browns early in the second round will look at Milroe. And I find it, I guess, intriguing or a little mysterious how much hype has surrounded Jalen Milroe here in the past week. I think we've got a clip on this tonight that we can run from Tom Pelissero of NFL Network. I've got another one, a couple more I think we can run on tomorrow night's show about Milroe and his running ability and the comparisons to Lamar Jackson, who was the last pick of the first round. What was that, 2017?
Yep.
And would a team possibly trade up late into the first round to draft Jalen Milroe, quarterback from Alabama? I don't think so. I think he's an early second-round pick. But some of this hype about his running ability really is interesting. And this tweet here about the Giants being interested in Milroe, I think it's the Browns.
Well,
if there's a team that's likely to draft Milroe, I'm going to say the Cleveland Browns.
Well, let's hit on Adam Schefter. Tom Pelissero, I beg your pardon, talking about what some scouts have been saying about Jalen Milroe, kind of leaning into what you just read a moment ago.
The eye-opening thing that several coaches and scouts told me as I was making calls about all these quarterbacks is Jalen Milroe is the greatest runner of the football they've ever evaluated at the quarterback position. Not Lamar Jackson. Jalen Milroe is the best runner that they've ever seen.
Okay.
All right. That's some pretty bold praise right there.
Can I follow that by saying he's not the best passer anyone's ever seen?
Yes. And I forget who I was listening to. It might have been Daniel Jeremiah. Regardless, it was of...
Sorry, Lamar Jackson was the last pick of the 2018 NFL draft.
Traded back in at number 32. Yeah. Also, a lot of you have been, and I'm not saying all of you, I've thought the same thing. Jalen Milroe invited to the draft? That doesn't make a ton of sense.
Everyone said the same thing. What? Milroe? Really? Why was he invited?
Just because Alabama quarterback Jalen Milroe was invited to attend the draft in Green Bay doesn't mean the league expects him to be picked on Thursday night. That, according to Adam Schefter, the league invites players it believes have a chance to be picked high, and even some that still could be on the board on day 2. A team of league officials reaches out to top prospects, but that should not be confused for a projection, nor with the idea that the league has any inside info. That, according to Adam Schefter, the league invited Milroe because he's one of the top quarterback prospects, and even if he's not picked in round 1, he could be in attendance Friday night. Teams certainly like Milroe enough, and it's fair to say many are incredibly intrigued. Quote, rare physical talent, Browns general manager Andrew Berry said of Milroe last week. Maybe the only quarterback who's faster than Lamar Jackson.
Andrew Berry, the Browns GM, has come out and made a lot of revealing comments about players. He made no mistake about it last week when he said basically the Browns are going to draft Travis Hunter at number 2. And then he did praise Milroe. And I think, Tim, you know Tommy Rees.
Not personally, but I know of
former
his work.
Notre Dame quarterback.
Legend.
Coach, offensive coordinator of the Browns. And he coached Milroe 2 years ago. I think you draw that line and you say the Browns obviously need a quarterback to develop, and they're going to start Kenny Pickett this year. Milroe, I think, if you can find team to draft Jalen Milroe, I don't think that's up at any book right now, but I would bet on the Browns.
And I would say this, Matt, about one of the more reasons that I do agree with Tony and Johnny Avello and Connor Allen that there will be less than 2.5 quarterbacks in the first round. I think a lot of these teams, Giants included, Browns included, are going to look at Milroe, Shuck, Sanders, Dart, all pretty close, that maybe they don't feel the need to go back into the first round to get that quarterback. So we'll see. But that was a bet that I did place today, and we'll see if the market moving. By the way, if you do want to jump in on that, always look around. Mentioned DraftKings is now minus 105 to under 2.5 quarterbacks. I just looked. BetMGM plus 140 on under 2.5 quarterbacks. So look around as well. We'll also mention a pretty interesting number that is out there regarding what Tony Pauline just said at the number 4 overall pick. Hey, folks, you want to know where the money is really going? Unlike other sources, our betting splits come straight from Circa and DraftKings Sportsbook, giving you insight where the sharp action is landing. Circa is known for taking big bets from professional bettors, while DraftKings provides a broader market perspective. That means you're getting the real action, not just public money, but the kind of wagers that move the lines. See the percentage of bets versus percent of handle on every game across every major sport, helping you make smarter, more informed bets. Get our VSiN summer special right now for only $59. VSiN.com/subscribe. You get everything through August 1st.
How about this? Well, update after the break on the Canadians and Capitals. Stay tuned.
This is VSiN Primetime on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Well, as Matt Youmans has said during the break, hockey's too stressful. It was 2-0, the Washington Capitals, and they were, I don't even know how high they were on the live line, Matt.
At least minus 1850. I know that, and it's probably got a little bit higher, but that's not the case now.
It is not the case, as during the break, the Montreal Canadiens tied the game at 2, but I believe the Washington Capitals will be going on the power play here with 2:28 to go in the third period. They are going to an official review on a potential high stick here by the Montreal Canadiens. So review upcoming to see if indeed it is going to be a high stick that nailed a Capital in the face. And 2-2 is the score, 2:28 to go. Right now on the live line as I wait for this. We do not have a live line at this moment in time, so we are waiting for the review to come on home. By the way, we are in the fourth quarter of the Pistons and the Knicks. 6.5 minutes to go in this one, Matt.
No penalty.
And the Detroit Pistons leading 88-78 over the New York Knicks, looking to even up the series and steal home court from the New York Knickerbockers. They blew game one. And it doesn't look like, well, we'll see if they will do it. No penalty, though, as you said, in Washington. So 5-on-5 hockey, the final 2 and change here between the Canadiens and the Washington Capitals. Caps a minus 154 favorite, and the Canadiens plus 120. Could have got, I was looking at the live line when we were talking about,
probably somewhere around 10-1 on the Canadiens, right?
We could have got puck line at plus 2.5 at plus money not too long ago, too, on the Canadiens. And now it's tied at 2 with 2.5 minutes to go. Alex Ovechkin on the ice for the Capitals as they look to take a 1-0 series lead and avoid a pretty tough loss here.
Yeah, the Caps could blow a 2-0 lead here in the final 10 minutes of regulation. And that's not what you would expect to see from the series favorite with Ovechkin tonight. But again, that was 2-0 about 15 minutes ago. Now 2-2 with 2:15 to go in the third. And like you said, the Caps, we thought they were going to be on a power play, but that's not the case. Back to the NBA, and Pistons trying to get even with the Knicks. 6 minutes to go in the game. Pistons up 90-78, and they are now 8.5-point favorites live. Does that number seem a little bit high to you, 8.5?
It does seem a little bit high. 90-78 the score. We'll see if the Knicks can do what they did on Saturday against the Detroit Pistons on a 21-0 run. I'm going to go ahead and say I don't know if we'll see a 21-0 run here. Some really good stuff from Tony Pauline I want to circle back to. But, Matt, let's get to a couple best bets. And you and I have a common best bet. And as always, our best bet's brought to you by our friends at G-Bank, the official bank of VSiN. Coming up, top of the hour, we've got Clippers and Nuggets, Game 2 of this Western Conference first-round matchup, Matt. And you and I believe that the zigzag will be in full effect tonight as the Clippers a short 1-point road favorites.
Yeah, I like the Nuggets here in this series. I bet them in 7 at plus 390. But again, the Nuggets get the first game 112-110. Denver overcomes a double-digit deficit to win that game. I thought the Clippers outplayed them most of the way. Clippers were up 8 after the first quarter, blew the lead. James Harden was solid in that game. And again, if you're expecting Harden to fade in a playoff series, typically it happens in games 5, 6, or 7. Harden, 32 points, 11 assists, hit a couple big shots. Only had 2 turnovers in 43 minutes on the floor. So he was the Clippers MVP in game 1. Kawhi Leonard had 7 turnovers. I'm going to say that I like the Nuggets in this series for 2 reasons. Jamal Murray's back, basically run the point for Denver. And Nikola Jokic is the best player on the planet. Joker had 29, 12, and 9 in game 1. He's almost automatic to put up a triple-double or something close to it every time out. But Jamal Murray is the key to the Nuggets playing better. 21, 9 rebounds, 7 assists in game 1. He played 48 minutes. But, Tim, it's a simple zigzag here with the Clips losing game 1 after looking like most of the way they were going to win that game. They drop it. I expect them to bounce back and tie the series tonight. So going with Clippers -1. It's about a third of a unit play. What I'm really going to look to do here is live bet this game when the Nuggets get a lead. Try to get the Clippers a +3.5, 4, something better than that.
I'm going to be riding with you. So I took the Clippers on the money line. Looks like -115 might be out there, so a little bit better number. I bet it at stations earlier today. They do this. They tend to do this with games of the night, but you can get -110 out there. A true pick'em with the Clippers and Nuggets. And as Matt, you said, probably advantageous to look at it from an in-game standpoint. Speaking of which, 14 seconds to go. I tell you what, this third period has been completely dominated by the Montreal Canadiens. Yep. Your live number still -154, 11 seconds away from overtime in the nation's capital between the Canadiens and the Washington Capitals. Our best bets, as mentioned, always brought to you by our friends at G-Bank. G-Bank upping the ante with up to a $750 bonus for new G-Bank Visa Signature Card customers. First, new customers who spend $1,000 on eligible purchases within 90 days from account opening receive a $250 bonus. In addition, if you spend $50,000 on gaming and sports app loads within the 30 days of account opening, you'll receive another $500 bonus. That's potentially a $750 bonus. Apply now. VSiN.com/GBank. That's VSIN.com/GBank. Subject to credit approval. Terms and conditions do apply. 90-82, Detroit with that 8-point lead. What did you say the number was just a moment ago?
It was 8.5. The live number is 8.5, now down to 5.5. That doesn't take long. So 90-84 is the current score. Pistons over the Knicks.
Winnipeg Jets do lead 2-1. 8 minutes to go in the third period against the St. Louis Blues. Jets trying to take a 2-0 series lead against the St. Louis Blues. And I believe we're getting an icing here. So 4 seconds away from overtime in the nation's capital. Man, you have a bet on it, so you are not going to enjoy this whatsoever, but my God. Overtime hockey is exhilarating in the postseason. 20 minutes, 5-on-5, no shenanigans, 3-on-3, 5 minutes, no shootouts, just true hockey. And looking forward to seeing that. 2-2, Montreal scoring 2 goals in the third period. And
the last 10 minutes of the third period.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if anyone out there, you could tweet us at @1TimMurray, at Matt Youmans 247 knows what the live line was at. All right.
I think the highest it got was somewhere around -2,000, right, for Washington, and you probably could have got right around 10-1 on the Canadiens. And this game, Canadiens and Capitals are now going to overtime at the Capital One Center. So we are tied at 2, end of regulation.
A couple things that we heard from Tony Pauline that I want to circle back to. And if you're looking for that long shot, and that's kind of what draft season is, throw a couple sprinkles out there. I know you've hit some long shot bets over the years. I remember Quay Walker being the first linebacker selected was a big bomb a couple of years back when the Green Bay Packers selected him in the first round. I think that was like 22-1 or something like that. But Jalen Walker to be the 4th overall pick, Matt, at BetMGM, 15-1. And Tony Pauline, I don't know if he gave us a little exclusive there before he puts it out on Sportskeeda.com, but he says he has heard that the Patriots could shock the draft and go with Georgia edge Jalen Walker with the 4th overall pick.
I think that'd be a nice pick for the Patriots. I would agree with that if they made it. Big Jalen Walker fan. Like I said, if the Raiders don't get Ashton Genty at 6, I think Walker would be a great pick for that Raiders defense in that spot. Tim, it kind of shows you how NFL draft betting has changed. In recent years, past years, have hit a 40-1 shot, 100-1 shot. Woo. On some of these. You're not even going to find anything close to that. Now, if we're finding 15-1, that's about the best you can do in terms of long shots right now, right?
Yeah, I was just I was trying to look back. Not that anyone cares. Quay Walker was 16-1, so it wasn't that long. It was 16-1. That hit that a couple years ago. There with him going with the first. Also, you had it in your mock. Connor Allen talked about it as a possible long shot, and Tony Pauline didn't disagree as long as Green Bay kept that pick. Packers' first selection to be wide receiver, 6-1 at BetMGM.
I like that. I like that play. And I think Matthew Golden to the Cowboys is number 12. is probably the first wide receiver off the board. And Ted McMillan, their wide receiver from Arizona, could slip to the Packers at number 23. If that's the case, I think they'd take him. Packers first-round wide receiver for the first time since 2002. Sign me up, Tim. I think it's going to happen. Like you said, 6-1 out there. That looks like a pretty good bet right now.
All right, do we see another comeback at Madison Square Garden? The lead down to 5 for the Detroit Pistons right now over the New York Knicks. We've got overtime in the nation's capital between the Canadiens and the Washington Capitals. What a night. We're going to talk more NFL draft with Ryan Kramer next.